All right, welcome everyone to the Centerville City Council meeting being held on August 15, 2023 at the Centerville City Hall. We welcome all that are with us, both from city staff, from the public, those that are in person, and those that are in Zoom. Let's start to my far left, and we'll have the council members give us a roll call that they're here.
Meekum present.
Higgins present.
Summerhays present.
Hurst present.
McEwen present.
Thank you, council members. All 5 council members are present, and we thank them for their time and their efforts of being here, and staff for preparing for this meeting as well. Let's start with the legislative prayer or thought from council member George McEwen.
So tonight I wanted to go over a recent development that's happened with the state of Utah, and that's Governor Spencer Cox has been elected to be the chair of the National Governors Association. One of the things that governors do when they take over that role is they like to come up with their policy statement or something they'd like to achieve during their term. And Governor Cox decided that he would come up with the concept of disagree better. And I'm just going to read a few lines from what he said to the National Governors Association. He said, Americans need to disagree better. And by that, we don't mean that they need to be nicer to each other, although that's helpful. We need to learn to disagree in ways that allow us to find solutions and solve problems instead of endlessly bickering. The exhaustive majority of Americans want this, and the science is clear about interventions that reduce polarization. As doers and builders, governors are in a unique position to model what healthy conflict looks like. I think he's right, and we had a guest speaker, Dr. Arthur Brooks, come and speak at the Utah League of Cities and Towns a few years ago. He's actually now an impact scholar for the Policy Institute at the U, and he made a really great declarative statement. He said, nobody has ever been insulted into agreement. We all have our different opinions on how the world should work, and depending on your family, you may go the spectrum from far left to far right. And there are reasons people hold their opinions, but what we've turned into as a nation is it's easier to shout someone down and to shut them down than to hear what their concerns are. And I really agree that as we look at how polarized we've become, we've lost that part of America which really makes us great, and that's the ability to compromise. Our country was built on compromise. Not everyone got everything they wanted from the country when it was first founded, and we had some serious problems that we had to deal with later on that resulted in a civil war. But I don't think we're anywhere close to that in our country again. I think that there's plenty of ground for that silent majority to step up and say, we'd like to talk about these issues, but we also need to be respectful that there are going to be differing viewpoints in that. And whether that's a local politician, your state representative, or your national representative, don't tolerate it. If there is disagreement that's all about scoring points and not doing the public business, you voted us in, you can vote us out. You can also let us know that that is not appropriate behavior, and we can make those adjustments. Because what I have discovered working in local government is that it starts here. What happens on the national level you can do very little about, but what happens in your own community you have a lot more control over than you think. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. All right, if you'd all rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're at the open session. This is a time that on our agenda that we allow anyone to come to the pulpit and address anything that might be on their mind. We just, if you're inclined to do so, we just, out of time, allow you to be respectful and keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes. So that open session is now available. If there is anybody here outside of, maybe I should say, if you're here for the public hearing on the Centerville Industrial Flex PUD and the Williamsburg Estates Plat A subdivision, those are public hearings where we will discuss those further, and so you don't need to come up here now for those. Those would be later on the agenda. But anything else, come on up and just identify your name and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Allie Phelps. I'm 15 years old and I'm a resident of Centerville City. According to the Glass Packaging Institute, glass is the easiest material to recycle, but currently Centerville does not provide a way for the community to easily recycle glass. Lately, I've been providing my neighbors with a glass drop-off where they can conveniently bring their glass to me, and then I transport it to one of Momentum Recycling's glass drop-offs in Salt Lake City, where then Momentum Recycling picks it up and takes it to be recycled. Currently, Momentum Recycling is the only place in all of Utah that can recycle glass. In providing this for my neighbors, I've come to realize that this is something many people are interested in. When I first started doing it, it took about a month for the bin to fill up, but as more and more people heard about it, it took 2 weeks and then 1 week, and it's just been really cool to see. I see a great need and desire for Centerville to partner with Momentum Recycling to get a dumpster for glass in Centerville and help lengthen the lifespan of our landfill, as it only has an estimated 15 years left. I would like to leave this paper with some more information as you further consider this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ally. If staff or council could help me, we are doing some.
We have a glass recycling here in
Yeah.
Centerville.
But it's not a community drop, it's you
It's not
as
a,
a household.
it's not a community drop, and we looked into the community drop, and it was more expensive than what we felt like we could do. But there are a lot out in the neighborhoods. Now, I think, Bill, do you have one?
I actually do one, and everybody up and down the street. It's somewhat expensive, it costs you $20 to get the can. And I think
$8?
$12 a month for emptying. But by inviting myself, I can't justify the can, but by inviting people, making it available, I get almost a full can. They only pick up once a month. It's the last Friday of the month. It is Momentum Recycling, and there is a contract. So I don't know where you're taking it, but you might be interested in getting your own can and do it. I know there are 3 or 4 other people who are doing something similar to what I'm doing. I think the last time I knew, we had a dozen cans in Centerville. So that's just,
I've looked into that, and I have some more information about like the pros and cons of doing like a part of the community versus
And thank you,
Much for
Alex.
looking
This is
into it.
wonderful. I passed
That's
them
been
all out.
something we've been
And
considering.
we'll have staff to look at it further as well, too, and, because it's been, time flies by quick, 2 or 3 years since we put it in. And this is something that, I serve on the Wasatch Integrated Waste Management Board, and there's many cities of our 15 cities that aren't doing any sort of glass recycling, and I've told 2 or 3 other mayors what we're doing, and this could be more advanced. There's actually many cities in Davis County that don't even do the blue garbage recycling either, paper recycling, so thank you.
And
your comments.
as Ally has noted, it says that between $150 to $200 per haul. And Ogden, as a reference, does it every other week. So if maybe we did it once a month, we had a
that is what
community one.
ours is once a month.
Yeah.
They pick
So
up the last Friday of the month.
if you did it $175 times 12, that would be, see how that played out. Yeah.
Quiet now? Okay. All right, so thanks so much, though. We'd love it that, you said you're 15? As a 15-year-old, you're coming in and getting involved, and even brought us some information that we can keep. All right, the further on the open session? Anybody online?
Nope.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's move on from the open session. We have a special presentation tonight. We have a new employee, and we want to introduce Haley Turner to you. And Bryce, I think you're going to bring her on up and introduce her and tell us about her, right? What we don't know already.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll just do a brief introduction, and then she can introduce herself. A couple months ago, we made a change, and I accepted a new position, and then we opened up my old position as a community services manager, and we were fortunate enough to hire Haley Turner, who came from us, from the district. Haley and I have crossed paths many, many times over our careers.
What is the district?
South Davis.
South
right,
Davis
Ted?
District, sorry, excuse me. And we're very fortunate to have her on our staff. I'm very excited. I don't look very excited, I'm just tired and exhausted, but I'm excited to have her on staff because she's a turnkey employee, and she can really take our recreation programs to the next level. And so I'll let her introduce herself even more.
Hi, y'all. I'm Haley. Nice to meet you guys. I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you and working a lot with a lot of you in different capacities. So yeah, I'm excited to be here, happy to be here. Do you guys have any questions?
Can you tell us a little bit how excited you were in your cover letter that you sent?
What about it?
So I looked at, I wasn't on the panel, Councilman Meekum was, but I looked at all the cover letters, and Haley was quite enthusiastic in her cover letter. It was, I was chuckling as I was reading that, how excited she was for this opportunity. So, and I had a chance to interview her 4 or 5 years ago to be on the Parks and Rec
four?
committee as
Yeah.
well, too. She has a passion for this kind of
Are
thing.
you a Centerville resident then?
I sure am. Yep. Proud to be. Those were kind of my two things that I highlighted in that letter is I love Centerville. I've been able to serve the community through working at South Davis, but this was a way I could continue to do that, but be in a growth opportunity.
What's your first biggest target?
When I started, July 25th was my
No,
first
what
day.
is your first target,
Oh, first
something to add?
target, to add like for programming. I've got a few ideas. They're very underdeveloped, but I hope to be able to present something to council soon to see what you guys think. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. No, I don't want to, no.
Spoken from the attorney, good answer.
And Bryce, as the marketer, wants to get a little,
Yeah.
Good luck, let us help you.
I think it's a great opportunity to have Haley on board. I mean, my background is in Parks and Recreation, and so is Haley's, and so I think this really elevates the city to the next level. She can do everything I can do, and she can do everything a little bit better. And so she will be a great resource to the city, and I'm excited to have her on board.
So is she going to be handling the website?
So she'll be doing some of the communication, break it up and help each other out. But I'm going to be leading the city through the redesign and through the branding effort, and then eventually passing off the reins to either Haley, and then also giving more responsibilities out to departments to update. So it'll be a tag team for a little while, but she's already doing everything on her own. I haven't run baseball this season, so, or at least for this fall, so it's been great to have her on board and be able to run things and get things moving. Any other questions?
I think she'll be awesome.
She's going to be awesome.
She
She
will.
served on our Parks and Rec committee and did a great job.
Yeah,
So
she's-
This is a great addition.
I'm excited.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Haley. Thanks, Bryce. All right, let's head on to the business items. First item on our business items is a public hearing on the final subdivision plat for the Center Industrial Flex PUD at 50th South and 1250 West. And while I'm talking and introducing it, we have Corey coming up to give us the staff opinion.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Apparently, there's a little bit of confusion with your interlocal agreement first that you reviewed previously. And I had scheduled the plat to be this week, so apparently it maybe confused the council a little bit. But we're here to the plat for that Centerville Flex. As you recall, they're developing the property. They have 3 buildings, so the plat will encompass the 3 new buildings, and the Trinity facility will remain a separate parcel. It's not part of the plat. It's staying in its original lot, not as lot configuration, but it was several properties, so it'll be independent of the subdivision. The 3 buildings will be treated in common, so the parking, the landscaping, the accesses will all be in common, and then the 3 buildings will have a pad site so that they can potentially be sold, and so it becomes a planned unit development. And a lot of people are confused. I know West Bountiful was confused, saying, hey, a planned unit development, isn't that residential? Our ordinance can do it multiple ways. You can call it a condominium, even though it's really a tool for how you record your property. The planned unit development allows you to have industrial, commercial, or residential. So this will be an industrial.
not just for selling, in the future, financing.
Right.
too.
You're right, it helps them.
They phase it.
Yeah, it helps them with the financing. So in point of Centerville Flex, trying to, they're not planning, I guess it is, as Rebecca has been represented to me yet, but they want to secure that. And so they wanted to do the plan unit development plat. So this is the final step for the project from a planning and zoning and processing standpoint. And the planning commission reviewed it against the site plan. So it's the site plan configuration that drives how the subdivision will occur. And then, so your common areas are set by site plan, your building is set by the placement of the building. So planning commission is recommending the subdivision also to you, which is your role at this point for finalizing the project. No other,
Any questions for Cora on it? Not right now? Okay. This is a public hearing matter. Is the applicant here? Nobody from the applicant, so we will not hear from them before we go to public hearing then. So I guess it's on to a motion for the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? The public hearing is now open for the Centerville Industrial Flex PUD final subdivision plat. Just identify who you are and where you're from if you are to comment. Any online? All right. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we now are to the part that if there's any further questions, nothing obviously from the public hearing, or the questions that will come about, since we don't have any comments, but if you did think of any further questions you may have for staff on this or
Lisa?
discussion.
Lisa, do you have any changes, updates in our discussions with West Bountiful City related to percentages and how we're gonna, we were
No,
really
we haven't
close
prepared
on
that exhibit, you know, it's gonna
Okay.
be based on that exhibit, and
Yeah.
I just may put that on the list for tomorrow.
Okay, okay. I just didn't know if there were any updates since we last chatted about it.
Further questions for staff?
Do they have items pre-sold? Do we know? Corey?
The question is, had they pre-sold any of the buildings? My understanding is they do not have current plans to do that, but that may come about in their negotiations with constructing buildings.
Okay.
My understanding, Bill, is that'd be lease product, so not a for-sale product. Maybe your question was, is it pre-leased?
Pre-leased, pre-sold,
Yeah.
same, as far as I'm concerned. I don't have quite your real estate acumen. Either way, do they have any deals in process?
That's probably the question, yeah.
There's the money on the line. All right, looking for a motion then.
Make a motion to approve the final subdivision plat for the Centerville Industrial Flex PUD at 50 South, 1250 West.
Second?
Motion is second. Further discussion? Start the voting to my far left. Councilman Meekum.
Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the second public hearing matter. This is subdivision plat amendment for the Williamsburg Estates Plat A at 374 Williams Lane and 352 William Lanes. So Whitney is here to do this one.
Yep, I get to do this one. So this is a subdivision plat amendment. Basically, they're just redrawing their lot line 3 feet to the east. My understanding is it's to match what the fence line is instead of the property line that was platted before. It looks like that it meets all city ordinances except the front yard easement is a little bit smaller. So we're recommending that you, in your conditions of approval, state that that needs to be increased to 10 feet from the 7 feet. But other than that, we're recommending that you approve this plat amendment. Do you have any questions for me?
Meaning they do meet the front setback
Yeah.
requirement.
It's not a setback, it's an easement.
Sorry,
Yeah,
easement, yeah.
So their current easement is 7 feet, but the city ordinances right now make it so it needs to be 10
That
feet.
would just bring them current as opposed to grandfathering it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Any other
Is that a big deal either for them or for us?
It's not a big deal for us. You can ask them, but when we talked about it in a DRC meeting, they didn't make it seem like it would be a big deal. So,
And because the PUEs are on the far side of the boundary line, those don't,
right,
We're not
yeah.
concerned
Yeah,
about
those
that.
won't change at all. There's not an easement on the line that's being moved.
yeah.
Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Whitney. Applicant here at all? You want to comment, or are you good?
I'm curious about the 10.
Come on up.
I usually have a loud enough voice.
Yeah, and I'm the same way, but they still tell me I have to go to the microphone, so.
Yeah. The 10-foot was just something that we just heard about through this process, and I'm not sure the introduction to that, the reasoning, and what is the impact to residents? And if we make that amendment, it doesn't seem to be a big deal because we can't build a structure in the front yard closer than our house is anyway. But, so why are we doing this? And are we changing everyone, or like Spencer said, are we not just grandfathering it since we've been there 30 years?
I don't know, I haven't answered that question.
I can respond to that. It
I
was
was
my
gonna say-
suggestion to add that. We have consistently been requiring the property owners on these boundary line adjustments to increase the front yard PUE because our code is now 10 feet. In my opinion, it is a trigger that requires that to be brought up to code.
On an amended plat, that will be a
On
little bit of
amended
a
plats.
jog
Yes.
as it relates to their neighbors.
So probably unlikely that utilities are going to use it if, but
But
as,
you're saying if, as a matter of
as
consistency.
plats are
principle,
amended,
yeah.
it triggers bringing that into compliance.
So I have a question to that. I understand that, but my neighbor to the west, they're going to be at 7, we're going to be at 10, neighbor to the, they're going to be at 10, and everyone else is going to be at 7. So who's going to jog 3 feet into our 10-foot easement?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It may be impractical that they use it now, but as development comes, we do trigger that to bring it up to code, similar to having to put in a sidewalk. So some properties have a sidewalk, some don't, because it hasn't been triggered yet.
Well, and I can understand that under a new development, but Williamsburg is fully developed, has been for a couple of decades now. So I can't see that unless, other than it's a side yard amendment to it, that no one else is going to be changing it. So it's just a question for helping me to understand it, that's all. Because it didn't seem practical that, like you said, anyone's going to do it, so why do it? Just to say we did?
Well, technically, I don't know, I'll take a stab at it. Technically, because of changes that we consider were necessary and important on a long-term overall basis, we established the change in the code.
Sure.
We don't have the ability to come back to you and say, hey, we need everybody to do this right now. We do have the ability, as you're asking for changes, to include it. And if anybody else comes out and wants any kind of a change, we'd be doing the same thing with them. You being the first, it kind of seems like it's an effort in futility, but we have to start someplace. And you had the forelock of being the first.
And if we don't do it, it seems arbitrary and capricious a little bit, that if, I know that there's exceptions to be had, but if we don't follow our own ordinance, then if we require somebody else to do it, but we didn't require you to do it, then somebody.
You set precedents in
Yeah.
here. When was the ordinance changed?
Lisa, when was the ordinance changed? I have no idea.
Corey said
Corey
no
knows.
answer that.
Corey, who you were whispering?
The ordinance has been in place for a long time, but the recent amendment to that section was 2017-03 on 159080. All plat amendments shall comply with and be subject to city ordinances, including but not limited to applicable provisions of this title. So you're looking at the subdivision title and the zoning code, and then the state code. And so the title is the municipal code, in this case, under subdivisions, which now require the 10-foot easement. So by ordinance, we're constrained to require the 10-foot.
Totally understand. I just wanted to understand the jog.
It's,
Anything else?
just for what it's worth, we have a very similar situation with sidewalks. We have people who've been around so long that they don't have sidewalks. They can't make any kind of a change to the front of their property unless they agree to put sidewalks in eventually. There may be those that could never happen. You just work your way through it the best you can.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to a motion to go to the public hearing on this matter.
So, second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this public hearing is now open for the Williamsburg Estates Plat A subdivision amendment. Anyone that may comment, just state your name and where you're from. Seeing nobody here, seeing anybody online? Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we now are back to if there's any further questions for staff and/or the applicant or other, then so be it now. If not, do I have a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision plat amendment for Williamsburg Estates Plat A subdivision located at 374 West Williams Lane and 352 West Williams Lane.
Second.
A motion is second. Further discussion? Start with Councilman Entz going to my right.
Aye.
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 That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, staff. Thank you, applicant, for being here. All right, let's go to summary action calendar. We have 3 items: Public Works Vehicle Repair Cost Amendment, a bid award on the 400 West Culinary Water Line Replacement, and a bid award on the 400 West Culinary Water Line Replacement Parts and Materials. Is there any questions on these? We do have Dave Walker, Mike Carlson, Kevin Campbell, and I told Nate that I'd pull him in sometime tonight, so we have Nate here to answer as well, too. I would always tease Nate that I try and find something for him to say.
As an accountant.
And Alan's standing up, too, so he's ready to speak. But we have them all here. If there's any questions on these summary action calendar items.
The truck overhaul was just something they found because they wouldn't have been able to identify it until they got in starting to work, is the way I read the staff report, correct? Sorry, Mike. Peter steps in.
So as always, when you get into things, you find things that need to be replaced. So as they got going through there, they found things that were really close. One of them was, the oil pump was, was galded and stuff. And so it just made sense while you're there to fix it. And so, yeah, we're asking for additional $4,311.72 just to get it done and get it over with to where we have something really good back out on the road again. So. Yeah, if you ever dealt with automotives, this is what we deal with all the time, so. Any other questions?
What, the original amount was 26,000?
It was $26,546.94. So, $4,311 increase ballpark. So.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions on the other 2 items? Okay, do I have somebody who wants to take a stab at the motion? Remember, on this motion, we need to include the names of who we're awarding it to and amounts.
I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. Make a motion to approve the complete overhaul on the motor of truck 227 in the amount of $30,858.66 in place of the $26,546.94 that was approved on June 20th, 2023 to Rush Truck Centers. Also the project be awarded for the 400 West Parish Lane to 650 North culinary water replacement project in the amount of $380,910 to Granite Peak Excavation. And finally, the awarding of the bid to Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of $96,152.05 for the 400 West culinary water line project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for discussion. Let's do a roll call vote, starting with Councilman Summerhays going to my right.
Aye.
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 That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, staff. All right, we have minutes. We have August 1st, 2023 City Council minutes. We got August 1st, 2023 closed session and August 8th special City Council minutes when we met on the branding. Any proposal to change on those minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes as recorded.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in further, aye?
Aye.
Against? All right. Next, we have an appointment of members to boards, committees. I've submitted the name of Jacob Santini, who I met with and also sent you his volunteer form that he filled out to go onto the Trails Committee.
Motion to give advice and consent to the mayor for the appointment of Jacob Santini.
Second?
A motion second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Let's go to the monthly financial report. This is not one that Nate reports on, since it is a 1 month report. But is there any questions on what you saw in your packet? He is here if there is, on anything on the financial statements for July 2023.
Nate, just in your note, you noted that you're still working to continue to close out fiscal year 2023. We're now mid-August. Are we quite done with that? When's your expected? No. Okay. Do you have a range, a guesstimate that we're not going to hold you to on when you hope to have that closed out?
Yeah, so the auditors will be here, I believe it's the week of September 18th,
Okay.
I think. So we'll have most things done by then, but there's still some carryover, so generally October-ish is about when we have it finalized.
I called Councilman Summerhays so we could get you up there somehow.
Mayor got you in here in the first place, and the follow-up question got you up to the podium.
Hey, before you run, anybody else? Okay. All right, so thank you, Nate, for preparing that, and thank you for that update, and when that will be finalized. All right, we have a council report. It's Councilmember Robin Meekum's turn.
Well, I had some really good notes, and I'm sorry I left them home. But on Utopia, they've had, and I don't have the exact numbers now, but we are seeing an increase similar to what we've seen during COVID. I mean, our numbers are really increasing again. Bountiful has broke ground, and so they're excited about that.
Contracting with Utopia?
Bountiful is,
It's a revenue bond.
yeah, so they will own their own
I know
infrastructure.
they will own their own, but are they
But yes,
contracting it through?
yes,
Utopia?
but they are contracting it through Utopia. Bozeman, Montana is also doing theirs, but due to the really hard winter, they didn't get it out to enough people. So they don't have the take rate that they thought they would, because you can't take it if you don't have it. And so they cut back the fees that we get. We get like $12 a person on the takers on that. So we've dropped it $5 for now, but it will go back in a year, and then it will be, we're gonna go up $2 more. So in the long run, we'll make more, but we're leaving them some money because they need money right now for, to be able to do it, because they don't have the money coming in that they thought they would. So I'm sorry, I don't have the notes, so I don't have my exact numbers on all of this. Idaho Falls is also one that we're doing. and the revenue is really, really good. The other thing is Bountiful, the revenue will all go to Utopia, not UIA. And so that should help us with that revenue, and they're hoping that it could be way bigger than Idaho Falls, and Idaho Falls is bringing in pretty good revenue for us. So, maybe I could have a minute next time and I'll bring my notes. I took really good notes and left them on the desk.
You're always welcome to a minute. Anything on,
But that was pretty much the main highlights, was that Bountiful's broke ground, and that they're really excited. They think it's gonna go big there, and they think it'll go big in Bozeman. It's just a matter of getting it to the people so that they can. And Idaho Falls is really kind of working on their own speed, and yet, once they're getting an area open, they've really got the takers up there. Any questions on it?
Where are we on take rate at the moment? We have had.
what was that question, Bill? I didn't hear
The
that.
take
Where are
rate,
we at on take rate?
Are we up to 50%?
we're not up to 50%, but it's really close. I'll bring that next time. And landmarks, we still haven't even met yet.
Robin, do you think, I know we've gone back and forth on it, do you feel like we should be combining landmarks in Whitaker, or do you still
I
feel
think
like
we
they
need to
should be
get it up and
separated?
see how the people feel about it. We just get with Corey and we need to get it going.
Okay.
It seems like other things are taking precedence.
I
and
didn't
we're
know
not.
if that'd be a beneficial thing, or.
Pushing it
We've kind of
through.
talked about that, and
We actually are fully staffed, so I'd like to have a couple of meetings, how they feel and how gung-ho they are, and let Corey explain to them what their jobs are, because even I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, so. We need to get them out and get them going, though. We've got Corey to get us up and getting going.
Mayor, do you mind if I ask Bill a question? Just as kind of goes back to the open session comment. How much do you pay for your glass bin? Is it a monthly fee or is it
It's
a?
either, I can't, it's $20 to get it. And then I can't remember, it's either 8 or 12 per month.
I thought it was 8, but maybe it went up.
I just can't remember.
And it's a
I'm just trying to
little,
think
it's
of-
a little bin. Like,
Yeah.
it looks like a little baby recycle bin.
Okay. Do we know how many people in Centerville have those bins?
I believe it's a dozen, last I checked.
So that's what I was trying to do, the quick math is, okay, if you have a dozen
If
people
maybe-
at an average of $10 per, whatever that is, you're almost at the community bin rate. So it's almost, do we go ahead and do that as a community? Because I have a little garbage, I have a little Target bag in my in our pantry that I put my glass stuff in, and whenever my sister-in-law from Ogden's down, I give it to her. So I wonder how many other people in the community do something like that, or Ally's taking it all the way down to Salt Lake, who's not buying it. So is there people that are actually have the bins, plus there's a lot of unknowns out there, and so it makes sense to do that as a community?
I personally think that the hassle factor is sufficiently large that unless someone is really motivated towards doing it, they won't do the community bin and come here, especially the further away you get from City Hall.
I've offered it to my neighbors, and I don't think anyone's taken me up on it yet. Because it's like Bill said, like, we don't.
So it sounds like it's
We
borderline.
don't have enough glass to even fill it every month.
So it's a borderline decision, but maybe under the borderline at this point, not over the borderline? Okay.
That's kind of what I think.
Okay.
I feel pretty strongly about it, and so even though I know I'm to some degree losing money.
Yeah, you're a man of
I'm-
principle.
I feel like it's important, that's why I want to do it. About once a quarter, I send up an updated email to my neighbors saying, don't forget to bring me your gas. And I have, most people don't bring it monthly, but they save up and all of a sudden,
Yeah, you got
I get a
whole-
bunch.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one that is bringing it monthly because there's a new baby in the household. And so I get 45 baby food jars.
Great way to get to know your neighbors, Bill. I like it. Yeah. All right, Robin, anything else? Thank you for that report. Any pressing matters with any of the rest of you on any of your committees that needs to be reported tonight? Okay, thank you. Let's go to the mayor's report. I was able to attend the Freedom Hills Park activities, the 3 weeks in a row that Bryce did those, the last one, and Councilwoman Hurst and her husband came by, and the kids were having fun playing games there, and they especially were having fun squirting each other with water guns. And they really liked the ice cream sandwiches too. Sounds like Mike enjoyed it too. He's coming up to talk about it.
Jennifer, I think, had one of those. She said they were very good too.
Yeah, but thank you.
I could go into more detail, but.
Thank you for doing those, Bryce. 2-3 weeks ago, I sat in on interviewing 3 candidates. They narrowed it down to 3 because I'm a member of the board at Centerpoint Theater on the new executive director. And we unanimously chose Danny Inkley, who is a longtime employee there and has produced some shows as well too. And many of you may know Danny. Danny's lives here in Centerville as well too. So Danny is a new executive director at Centerpoint Theater. Met with Bryce and Haley and our youth council last week on their year planning of their activities, and they were strongly encouraged to attend some city council meetings, and I noticed we had 4 of them here tonight. And so you'll see them coming in from time to time because we're really a great idea from Bryce and Haley to get them involved and see what we do as council members as well too. They have some neat activities coming up that will be worthwhile activities throughout the year. Last week after the youth council, went to popped downstairs and went through each of the officers' exhibits on the police night out on crime. Thought it was very well attended from the community. I mean, Alan, you got a constant flow, not always big groups necessarily, but constant flow. It sounds like you want to comment on it all?
Yeah, I didn't have anything prepared, but I thought it was well attended, and it was, I thought it flowed really well through the police department, you know, the tours, and everyone was able to see just about every aspect of the police department, how it's run, and meet various members of the department. So, yeah, there's a lot of work put in by members of the police department to put that on, but yeah, we felt it went off really well.
Yeah, it started off with Alan greeting them, and then he sent them in with Chief to talk about tasers and our boards and that sort of thing. And then they went to Will Barnes and learned about detective work. And then they obviously all loved the dog show,
Right.
Sniffing out the drugs. You know, that was pretty amazing and a big hit. And then
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, they visited dispatch, the dogs, they had, our DARE officer had the drunk goggles with the pedal cars. The fire department came out, we had a little Casey robotic dog driving around. We tried to fly a drone, but with the president in town, the entire area was in a no-fly for drones. It was,
This far north.
yes, yeah.
Everywhere.
It was, yeah, just about everywhere. But one of the best parts was when I was down in the lobby greeting people and kind of talking to them and kind of queuing them up, waiting for the chief to come get in the next group for his presentation in the training room, the EOC. Chief would fire a taser, or it would demonstrate it, would shoot it off so people could hear it, but then you would hear it through the doorway, and so everyone was expecting someone to get shot with the taser in there. I don't know, maybe for me, whenever I hear that taser sound, I cringe like something's bad's going down. But, yeah, it was lots of fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was a nice, great night. So thanks for all your officers. Yesterday had first LPC, well, not the first, I had one in May as well too, but LPC meeting. We talked about, there's resolutions that they're working on that are going to be voted on at the League of City and Towns meeting on the 6th, 7th, 8th of September. Our voting members right now is myself and Bill and Brent, they're going to be finalizing a draft resolution on dignity and civility in local politics, and second draft resolution on preserving local authority. And then we talked about that presently there's about 700 bills in some form or another already. We didn't talk about specific bills except for 2 bills, which happened to be by our own representative, Paul Cutler, about using, allowing municipalities to use their rat tax for outside of their city potentially. So those are the only specific bills we discussed, but I kind of like the dignity and civility in local politics, especially with what George said tonight, and also seeing last week when Spencer Cox greeted President Biden. I thought that was a class act, whether you're a Biden fan or not, or a Spencer Cox fan or not. It is the President of the United States, and he was there greeting him on the tarmac and showing civility, and that's how we should be, because our founding fathers worked hard to establish what we have in this country. And even though we had to put up a little traffic here and there, I always wait to our youth council meetings. We had a president in town, and that's something that I was glad to see him there. So he was showing civility there as well. And then I would encourage you to, if you're so inclined, if you can find time, the League of City and Towns meetings the annual meeting is the 6th, 7th, 8th right here in Salt Lake, and I signed up today for 2 of the days. I can't make it on the Wednesday, but Jennifer can help you get signed up, and early sign up is actually by tomorrow. Okay, and then the Day of Service is coming up on September 9th. Our Day of Service committee is working hard on that. Gina, can you help me out on some of the activities and services that will be taking place?
Yeah, there's a few projects within the city. I don't know exactly what those are. It looks like Bruce is gone. I think he may know, but there's also several service projects that will take place at the junior high. There's a blood drive. There is, they're gonna quilt 80 quilts that one of the stakes is supporting, and there's also, they're doing 100 Humanitarians, which is their garden kind of basket type things that they send to Africa, and those families who receive those can grow their own plants, and then if they have extra, they can sell that to help their families. That will actually take place in the Centerville Stake Center, which is just north and on Main Street, just this side of Chase Lane. So you can sign up for all of those at justserve.org. If you do a 5-mile search radius on the search and pick the 9th of September, because it'll be the Saturday, then you'll be able to, they all have the same symbol. It's a flag, and it's kind of red, white, and blue. So anyway, those are, you can sign up on justserve.org, and it's a great way to help our community. There's many community projects that benefit everyone. Viewmont High is doing the homeless teen centers and collecting. They're going to have a grade by grade competition to see which grade can collect the most items. The shelves are bare at the Davis School District for the teen centers, so there's a great need there as well. Anyway, a lot of great community projects. I think our youth council is helping to collect items for the teen centers. They'll be doing that in the grocery store, so you'll see them. I don't know exactly which Saturdays, but they'll be there collecting items, and so that'd be a great way for us to support them as well.
Thank you. On top of that, Young's Power Sports is doing their Power Up Against Teen Homeless event on the Monday following, on September 11th from 6 to 8. They've asked me to speak at it, so
I saw that. Are you signing up to speak at that?
if any of you want to take part of my 5 minutes, I would welcome it, so, you know, get your input as well too, okay? And then the last thing we have is, we do have a short closed session at the end of tonight's meeting. That was pretty long, but I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, so I had some things I wanted to get to you, both past and coming up. Any questions for me? Anything? I'm sure I may have missed something. Mike, did I miss something? Is that why you came up?
I get to give Brent's report again.
Oh, okay, all right. So, if nothing for me, then we'll have Mike come up to give the city manager report.
I'm hoping this is the last time I get to do this, because Brent told me I needed to, the church well gets up and running, I have to do his report for him, so. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been kind of a neat couple weeks for me, because I found out some new information that has kind of excited me a little bit. So to take you back a little bit, so the Utah Emergency Drought Relief was, and SUMPS is what it's called, they actually had where they helped drill the well, basically. So the well was really drilled, we said 1951, we're really going to change that date to 1939 is when that was drilled, 84 years ago. So it's kind of significant. In there it said that it had, throughout the well, good flows of water coming into it. So this last couple weeks, we TV'd it again. I had the opportunity to view that, and still watching some really good sources of water coming into the well. So we brushed and belted it again. We TV'd it. We put the 2 AC pumps down in. The breaking news is today our electrician wired it up and gave it a test pump, and then it's pumping water. So we feel good about it, but it's not the end of the road. From here, we got to run one more well sample, and then we got to run a couple back T samples, so, and flush it. So we got to take a period of time where we flush the well out and get it back in. You know, I just keep watching for Dave. I'm going to have Dave do a breaking news on all the web channels. He's getting quite good at that. But yeah, I'm hoping tentatively by the first of next week that's up and operational again. So I feel good about the process. It's taken longer than I wanted to, but I think we were thorough. I think we gathered a lot of good information. And I think one of the benefits that I think is very positive is having the 2 AC pumps. So one of them goes down, we have time to make all of our decisions. Do we want to keep the pump? Do we not want to keep the pump? And we can go through the motion in a calm feature, and then all of a sudden we can say, okay, the next week or 2 weeks, it's just going to be down. And so they can come in, we can have the work lined up, we can go through the process and have it done. So I think that was a good accomplishment that came out of it. So,
Mike, when you say you're going to be ready to have it in a week, 2 weeks, whatever that is, does that also mean that you're going to have the red light, green light, or hours of
red light,
operation?
green light's on.
Okay.
It's up there.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it'll say if it's red, it says it's been reported. So we don't want to hear about it.
But is it on the timer so that people can't use it after?
We have not set the timer up. So let's just go from here. After we get it up and running, we need to come back and have a work session on rules. That will be as soon as Brant can get it in. Me and my staff are putting together a list of things where you guys can say, yeah, we want this. No, we don't want this. You guys will make the decisions, and then we'll go out and get going on it. So one of the things I wanted to do also is have a fact sheet, so to speak, whether it's on the web or pasted on the building is, you know, this is not an artesian well, as people say it is. It is a groundwater source. You know, to me, I think it's what I'm almost safe in saying I believe it was the first ground source Centerville City ever had. You know, you go back in the day, they brought the Parish Canyon, Centerville Canyon in and just right through the stream channel, dumped it in the reservoir, and off we went. That was our water source. So when they brought the church well in, that was an addition. And I think the reason why they got to do that with the emergency drought relief was because that was, all we had was surface sources. There's a lot of documentation. That, to me, is about as close as I can get with it. One other update that I missed, but it was kind of interesting. You know, it was drilled with a 12.5-inch casing. and, as we mentioned, but then it was reduced to 10-inch casing. So in my findings in 1982, in that era, Randy and Fred Campbell went in and sealed that well. So they were coming in with a Safe Drinking Water Act, saying you guys need to seal your wells. So they put a 10.5-inch casing down inside of it 100 feet and then grouted it. So basically concreted it in so surface water couldn't influence that well. So that's why we found out, okay, that's why it's reducing. We never really knew why at this point, and as long as I've been here, I've never known that. So it was kind of fun. I found out some new facts I think is important. These notes will be, I will generate a folder. We will have the folder. We can have the videos. We'll be able to say, okay, what did it look like last time? What does it look like this time? And we'll have a nice well log that Nickerson's will put together for us. That'll have the pumps. It'll have all the information we need to make an intelligent decision moving forward.
I like the idea of a little
I
fact
do
sheet.
too. And we'll present that when we come back to the work session of what we'd like to see. That's kind of my report. So hopefully I don't have to stand up here for Brent, but I don't mind it. I like helping him out. He's a great guy and I appreciate being able to work with him. So anyhow, any questions for me? Cool. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Mike, for subbing and filling in. Okay, anything else? If not, look for a motion to go to a closed session for,
We gotta have one more of them come back, so we have 2/3 of the.
oh, yeah. We lost two.
We did
didn't we?
Motion to adjourn the city council to go into a closed session for the purposes of acquisition, exchange, or lease of real property with no intent to return to open session.
Second.
Motion and second. We have to at least one more to vote then?
2/3 of the
For a
body.
closed session?
Yeah.
Wait patiently.
Yeah.
This is the part where you say aye, Robin.
Wait, motion and a second to go closed session. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.